Okay, this is part 2 of the Sany Crawler Crane 8100. It's the end cab. Kind of a standard cab on the right side of the machine. A standard placement for this size of a crane. It's got a little walkway here that flips up for transport. And a sliding door, which is pretty standard. Latches in the back. You can lock the door in the open position with this little latch right here. Your floor pedals, center pedals are for your track controls, left and right, and there are handles that attach on here. I just have them removed and put them behind the seat. I always use my feet anyway. The right side pedal is your throttle, engine throttle. The hand controls are a little different on a Sany. It's kind of one of the things that operators don't like about these. They put the boom control, your boom up and down, which they call winch number 3, your luffing winch, on your left hand. These right hand controls are single axis. They just move forward and back. They don't move side to side. They're not joysticks. This runs your auxiliary and this one runs your main. And like I said, this one runs your boom. It is a joystick, a dual axis, so it runs your swing right and swing left. These are heated grips, so that in the wintertime, when you have your heat running, these little strips right here, there's strips on both sides, and they heat up. These grips all have thumpers on them, so whenever the winch is rotating, the sensors on the winch will cause these little bumps back here to rattle up and down. On this, there's actually 2 different alarm systems on here. There's an alarm system for the machine, an alarm system for the LMI, and they have different ways of canceling the alarm once your alarm is started. A beep, the machine runs the horn, actually sounds an alarm through the horn, and the LMI sounds a beep through this buzzer, which is right here on your left side. To cancel the LMI beep, there's a button you push, I'll show you later. And to cancel the horn beep, you push this button down here to defeat that. That's right. You push this button up here to defeat that. This honks the horn. So you got all these buttons on here. These triggers, which in this machine don't have any function, and the top button. This top button is missing. This top button doesn't have any function on this machine. But on the bottom button is your horn to honk your horn. This defeats your alarm, and this is your high speed for your winch, high and low. And this is high and low, and there's an indicator on the panel that shows that. And on this right hand side, it's the same thing. This trigger function doesn't have any function, and this top button doesn't have any function. But this bottom one honks your horn, and then this one is your swing brake, your main swing brake, and then this is what you call your slewing brake. So on this system, for your slewing brake, it's like an automatic slewing brake. When you come down to pick something up, like let's say I'm going to pick up this machine here, and I bring my ball down and I'm off-centered. I'm not centered up on the machine. But especially it's helpful when you're working in the blind, because a lot of times when you're in the blind, you can't see that machine. There's a wall or something obstructing you. You can't see the machine. And so your rigger just tells you to come down. Then he hooks up your rigging, but he doesn't hook you up square. And you end up, when you pull up, all of a sudden you go to pull up and your line jogs way over because the rigger didn't hook you up square. Well, with this, you leave this slewing brake active. You take off your main brake, you release your main swing brake. And as you start pulling, as soon as the machine senses 1.5 times your empty hook weight, it will automatically swing to one side to get lined up. until it senses that there's no torsional force on the machine. It's kind of an interesting system. Your switches over here, you've got, so this machine uses a Rexroth, a variable hydraulic system on your number 3 winch, which is your boom. And so you can actually speed up or slow down. I have it set as max speed right now, and this is slow, and that's all the way fast. And that makes your number 3 winch, which is this boom control, either speed up or slow down, which is really handy when you're running a lot of boom and when you're running a jib, because it will slow down that action of your boom coming back and forth, especially when you got jib on there. You can really creep it super slow when you turn this way down. This, of course, is your air conditioning control, heating and air conditioning control. This crane is not equipped with free fall, so all your free fall lockouts and free fall controls, your brake controls and everything are deleted on this. This switch right here is your override for like when you go to lay your boom down and it gives you a 2-block warning. You can stick a key in here and override it. This switch is a setup switch for either when you're going to track or when you're going to be running your crawlers. The crawlers on this telescope out to the sides for setup. This is your slowing gear, high speed or low speed and slowing gear. And this is your high speed and low speed and your tracks. Run your tracks high or low. Your free fall lockout, which, like I said, that's not equipped on this machine. And then this is your house lock. You can lock your house or unlock, which it automatically locks anytime you raise up this, raise your hydraulic lockout. Anytime the machine is shut off or anytime you raise the hydraulic lockout, it automatically locks the house. And so right now, you know, with the machine shut off, I don't have the house locked, but it actually is locked. It's pinned in place because it locks automatically as soon as you raise the handle. This side over here, you also have your LMI warning override, your engine shutdown, your engine throttle. This is to select your free fall, select which free fall, but that's deleted on this machine. So I had a problem with this machine. If you got a Sany, the number 1 problem you're going to have is electrical problems. That's absolutely number 1. And the ignition switch is supposed to go in here. I had to replace the ignition switch, and I didn't want to use the Sany switch because they're junk. You know, they're just a plastic switch and they're not good. So I got a switch from Napa, but of course it was smaller and wouldn't fit this hole, but it would fit this hole. So I took this knockout out and put the switch. So this is actually the ignition switch now, which would originally be up here. This is your setup switch. For your boom. Either you can be in operator mode or setup mode, and right now I'm in operator mode. This key also works in your 2-block switches to override. So when you want to lay your boom down, you go into operator mode or into setup mode, and that will override your boom angle lockout, and then you have to override your 2-block lockout. When you go to lay down, you'll take all the weight off your 2-block weights and it won't let you lay the boom down, so you use this to override that and it lets you lay the boom down. Get the key in there. Okay, and then these are your dogs, your boom dogs, or your winch dogs. Winch 1, which is your main, winch 2, which is your auxiliary, and winch 3, which is your boom. And these lock the dogs, which you can see on winch 1 here. That is a boom dog, which right now is locked. And again, these are automatic. As soon as you raise the hydraulic lockout, it locks all boom dogs and it locks the house whenever you raise this. So we'll go ahead and do a startup, and I'll show you just kind of real quick what these computers will do when you start up. When you turn the key on, you're going to hear it beep, and the screens are going to flash and shut off, and then they'll run through their startup cycle and come back on. And when they come back on, then you can start. You don't just flip the key on and start cranking on the motor, because these computers will not come up if you do that. So ignition on, and you'll see that screen will clear. This screen brings up some data that it's loading. The screen is loading some data on here. Now they're both dark right now, and now you wait a little bit. Don't try and crank. Now this one starts to come up, and you wait until you get your full instrument cluster. Waiting, waiting, waiting. And when you get your instrument cluster, it'll be real quick, then the other screen will come up. So there's your instrument cluster, and here's the other screen. Now we're ready to start. And there's that. And there's that warning, which you defeat with this switch right here, either this one or this one. So now you have your instrument cluster, you have your LMI up, and it's asking you to confirm the duty. So it's showing Sany Crawler Crane 8100 running off the auxiliary with a ball weight of 1.6, no jib, 4 falls on the main, or excuse me, that's the block weight of 1.6 ton metric, 4 falls on the main, and it confirms that it is calibrated. Okay, duty, it's in the roost right now, not on the main. Main boom length of 34 meters, which is about 111 feet. Ball weight of 0.5 ton, which is 600 pounds. No jib, 1 fall on the auxiliary. Counterweight of 27.4 tons, 60,000 pounds. So we're going to hit OK. Now it brings up the screen here. It's showing roost duty, main boom length 111 feet, counterweight of 60,000 pounds on the auxiliary hook, and the hook weight of 1.1 thousand. It's showing boom angle, showing tip height. It's showing that we do have a block, but we're using the rooster right now. We're off the auxiliary. 1 fall, 800 pounds. We've got a maximum pull of 19.8. That's 1,000 pounds. Our main is at a radius of 50 feet, and our auxiliary is at a radius of about 53, almost 53. 66.2 degrees of boom angle. We'll go down here, show you what these are. This shows that you're in 360 degree. There are some warnings that will come up here if they're active on these blank spots, and especially down in this bar down here. It'll bring up warnings and tell you what those warnings are. That was weird. That thing was up. Okay. So when your hydraulics are locked out, it should show you a red X right there. And when your hydraulics are active, we drop this down, and that X turns green. When this is up, that X is red. This is showing that we are in operator mode. when I flip this switch, to setup mode, assembly mode, that little icon changes. See, there's operator mode, and there's assembly mode. Now this is showing the time and the date, which is not correct. I don't bother setting it because it resets every time you switch the batteries off. This is a wind speed meter. We actually have a wind speed anemometer on the end of the boom, and it's showing 0 wind right now because it's really calm out here. These are your winch locks. If you have any winch locks active, they'll show on here. This is your house lock. If it's active, it'll show on here. And it's your winch 4, which this machine does not have a 4th winch installed. If you had a 4th winch installed, there'd be another lever that comes over here to run that 4th winch, which is your luff and jib. This shows you your level point, you know, that we are 0.5 nose up right now, 0.5, and we're 0.9 lean to one side. So we're within 1 degree, that's acceptable. This is the engine temperature, engine oil pressure, battery voltage, and hydraulic pressure. We've got the hydraulics shut off right now. If you turn the hydraulics on, now you see that hydraulic pressure has come up to 28.5 bar, 26.5 bar. Fuel level, hydraulic oil temp, and then these are your little indicator lights for your hand controls. So this indicator here is for this slewing brake. When I click that slewing brake shuts off. If I click it again, slewing brake's back on. Same thing here, swing brake, shut off, swing brake on. Horn, honk the horn. It's just showing you that that's the button right down here. And you've got the same thing on the right hand controls. Okay, you've got your alarm defeat, which is this button here. You've got your high and low speed, which is this button I'll show you. See, now we're in high speed, now we're in low speed. And then again on the front, it's showing you that you've got your horn. So the first thing you want to do when you set this machine up is you got to calibrate your boom angle. And to do that, you have to go into your setup mode, and it's going to ask you for the password. And the password, the default password for all Sanys is 31, and you enter that right here, 31, and then you press F5 to confirm, and it goes into your setup mode. And so here it's going to show you duty parameters, which we could go ahead and do that and show you that. This is how you change your boom length. You change, this is your load chart right here. This is what you're showing you for a load chart on rooster mode. And you can change all these inputs, your boom length and auxiliary, counterweight, all that can be changed there, and you cancel to get out. Press it twice. To switch from your rooster to your main, you hit this. Now it's on main, get it back to rooster. The first thing you have to do when you're going to set up is you have to do calibration. And so it's going to ask you again for that passcode of 31 and hit F5. And now you can do main boom calibration and no load calibrations, weighted calibration, or a wire check. So your main boom calibration you have to do when you first set this machine up. And what you're going to do is, it's explained in the manual, but you're going to boom down and you're going to set that, you're going to set your boom at an exact angle using a external meter, and you enter that angle into the computer and then hit calibrate, and then you boom up, and you have to boom up at least 35 degrees of difference between your down and your low angle and your high angle, and you boom up to a high angle, and then you enter that in and calibrate. And once you've got your boom angle calibrated, then you have to calibrate your no load hook weights, and you do that first on your block. That's this second screen right here. You do that first on your block, and you calibrate. You go down to your low angle, you hit calibrate, you come back to your high angle, hit calibrate, and then it's actually weighing your block. And then you do that again for your ball. You hit, you know, your no load low angle and no load high angle, and then you'll be all calibrated. And when you get all calibrated, then when you go into your duty mode, it will say right here, calibrated. Okay, and even if you switch, let's go on back out. Even if you switch over to your main, okay, now let's try it again. Let's go into the duty mode. I didn't switch to rooster, or from the rooster, but it'll show the same thing. When you're on your main up here, it'll show calibrated. This is your diagnostics. If you get a fault, you can hit that, and it'll show you what errors you have. This is one of the buttons to defeat an alarm. Let's say you get an alarm. One of the alarms you'll get is a boom down alarm. We'll go ahead and boom down. Let me pull this ball up here once. You can hear that thumper clicking, you can see it clicking. That's what those thumpers do when that winch is rotating. You can watch your ball go all the way up. I'm gonna go ahead and put this boom down to, it'll give you an alarm at 23 degrees. We'll go ahead and go boom down. And like I said, if you're on one of these Sanys and wondering what kind of problems you're going to have, your number one problem is going to be the controls. This is going to be backwards, because if you're used to running a Manitowoc or Cabilco or something like that, this control here is your swing. You're going to go push forward on that swing to swing left, and instead it's going to boom down. And man, that'll really screw your day up. That's something you really got to watch out for. So the boom's coming down. You can see we're down to 30 degrees here. If we get down to 23 degrees, it's going to sound an alarm, and then I'm going to show you how we cancel that alarm. 26. So, we're going to cancel that alarm, and we're going to cancel this alarm. And that's how you cancel those alarms. I'm not going to leave it down there, but when you get into the alarm, when you get into an alarm situation, this will turn red, and your capacity will show 0. It won't allow any capacity, and it will bring up an alarm here, which you can go into diagnostics, and it will show you right here, working radius exceeds limit, overload, angle lower limit. And it's also going to show it to you down here, because it gave us an alarm both on the machine and on the LMI. And so the alarm down here, it says the same thing, overload, lower limit. So we'll go ahead and boom up, and these alarms will clear off automatically. And let me exit this here. See, it says 3 alarms total. Now watch when I boom up, they'll all clear. There they go. And now it shows capacity. So we'll boom up to about 40 degrees. And we'll go about 30. Just lock it down for the night. Shut the key off, and that's it. One of the things I do like about this machine, with this variable pressure hydraulic system, it makes your swing really smooth. You can hold this lever over like this and just hold it there for a second. All of a sudden the machine will start creeping, swinging just real super slow, and it really makes the swing super smooth on this machine. There's some more cab switches up here in the back above the seat. Got your stereo right here, and switches for external lights, your wipers and sprayers and that kind of thing. There's a little dome light in here and a back window that slides. They got a pretty good amount of storage back here behind the seat. That's where I keep my inspection manuals. This is also where the fuse box, in-cab fuse box, is right here. AC vents, the heater vents. The heater blows out of the floor right here. That's where the heater blows. AC blows out these side vents and those in the back. And that's about it for the in-cab.